I'm Jack Rickard. This is Electric Vehicle Television, still and yet again for another week of just more fun than
That's right. At least with your clothes on.
This is my compadre and today's sommelier, Mr. Brian L. Noto.
Hey.
I can hear you.
Can you? That's right. Yeah, after last week, him muffling me on purpose. He's got some story. It was my fault.
I've been hearing all week it's a conspiracy.
It was a conspiracy
for not being here. That I have muted your microphone.
That's right.
There was one person in
muffled
charge of the sound last week, and it was not Samoa.
It was me. Sounded good to me.
We're back to our, and this is what we used to do, is every Friday. Brian wanted to learn about wine. I said, well, let's just drink one every week.
That's right. Let's just drink some wine.
After a certain serial number of weeks, we know more about wine than anybody in the world.
And have
Could take some time.
It could take a couple of
Some
livers
study
too.
and a couple of livers.
That's right.
But hey, if not us, then who? If not now, then when?
That's right.
What you bringing?
Well, actually, this came via UPS from some people that a lot of our viewers know, from the folks at EV West, from Michael Bream and Matt Hauber.
Young Hauber.
Yeah, Young Hauber. They even sent us a little note.
Jack, thank you for the recent referrals and mentions on the show. We appreciate it. A buddy of mine is the director of winemaking at Paul Meyer.
Oh, Paul Meyer, some
Any
nice
buddy
wine.
of yours could potentially be a buddy of mine, Michael.
That's right.
And started his own label, Kale.
Nice.
We figure that you'd appreciate it. All the best. And even better than most letters and email, this one came wrapped in 3 bottles.
That's right. 3 bottles of kale. I thought there was going to be a vegetable in there. Boy, were we lucky.
I like my greens.
Yeah.
What are they talking about here? What is kale?
Well, we've got 3 different wines. They're from up north. 2 of these are from Sonoma. One's from some of the grapes are sourced all around Sonoma. We've got a Russian River, and then up a little north, Mendocino. So I'm going to give you I'm going to say some words, and you tell me what words you like best.
Okay.
At the end, violet, silky, soft, ruby, or meat, earth, or tar.
I prefer Jolly Rancher watermelon. And that's what you're talking about, isn't it?
We have a wine here actually that is, the descriptors were meat and tar and some blueberry.
Is this kind of like the liver in the bottom yogurt idea that Charlie, the graphics guy, had a few years ago?
I think so.
Liver in the bottom yogurt.
I think that this Russian River Valley Syrah that has like a percent of Roussanne, which usually is not in there, I think might be a pretty interesting wine.
So this is like a Chateauneuf de Pop Rhone type.
Yeah, I mean a Rhone grape. Yeah, a lot of Syrah in all of these.
They always taste like Jolly Rancher watermelon to me.
I'm gonna open this one. I think that this might work. I like the bottle. I like the presentation.
I got on a tear over Syrah, and particularly a Bellarosa Valley Australian Syrahs. And I just drank too many of them. And one day I got up and all Syrahs tasted like Jolly Rancher watermelon, hard candies.
Well, we'll see what we got
So
here.
I haven't drank any in a year.
So it might be better.
Well, and things change. You know, they have fads that run through the wine industry. And everybody will do it one way for a while. Not so much in France, but California is bad about this. And they'll all do, kind of chase each other on the same thing. And then the next year, it's all different. White Zin is out, and we're going to go the other way, really peppery dark Zins to make up for our White Zin sin.
For our Zin sins.
And then that got carried away, and now Northern Sonoma Zinfandels are actually kind of prized. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
But it goes in waves like that. So a Syrah now is probably very different from a Sonoma or Mendocino Syrah this year. And this is a new label
Yes.
from a guy that's a veteran winemaker, of course, but is branching out on his own.
Ah, the sound. This would not make a very good presentation tableside.
Lot of
With a lot
wax.
of a lot of wax.
Did he learn sealing from what's
From
the
Makers?
Yeah,
Makers Mark?
whiskey.
Maybe.
Turn them upside down and dip them in wax.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll see how it's a nice color.
Well, he certainly ensured maximum exposure on the EVTV since it takes us 15 minutes to open the damn bottle.
I know. We'll flop that around. So this is a 08 Russian River Valley Syrah.
Russian River.
Kale, and I think it just has a little bit of Rousson, which would be a
Who
southern.
opened that up? Russian River. Was that their Knightsbridge version?
Oh, geez. Behringer?
Behringer.
Behringer, yeah.
Now Russian Rivers everywhere. Oh, that's jammy. A lot of fruit.
Yeah. Nice tannins, fruit.
That does not taste like a Syrah to me.
No, and that's meat. That is meaty.
It is.
Yeah, that is kind of meaty.
There's a lot going on in there. Mm-hmm. It does smell a little bit like Jolly Rancher, though.
Yeah, that is Syrah. That is how. But that's when you're trying to taste wines blind or whatever. You have to have these weird little cues. And for me, and for you, it's Jolly Rancher. It's
watermelon.
Yeah, it's good. Nice. Well, all right. We'll say thanks for joining us this week at EVTV.
Okay, we'll be back next week with another bottle.
Another bottle. That's right. Yeah. I think this was.
I could get distracted there,
And I
but
think this was 14.9% alcohol too.
that's pretty hot, but it doesn't taste hot.
Does not taste like a lot of alcohol.
Do we have anything related to electric vehicles?
Yeah, there was some interesting things that happened today. Talking about high alcohol wines, Mitsubishi has stepped into the fray with some issues this week with their batteries in Japan, and their Outlander hybrid crossover that I didn't even know they made as a variant of their iCar, and they had a lithium-ion battery melt at a dealership and another one caught fire in an assembly plant. Those are not really good things. So they have suspended the sales of both of those vehicles in Japan. They're trying to determine what went on, but they don't know. They are going to continue to sell the vehicles in the United States. They have no idea what really happened.
Don't know the root cause.
They have not determined the root cause of the problem.
And they, blaming the manufacturer and the assembly?
I do believe that the manufacturer, it does say that it evokes those problems with the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. And it says that Boeing and Mitsubishi trace the origins back to the same supplier, Lithium Energy Japan.
Okay. Next week, we're going to do a session. I'm going to show you how to burn up a battery. Not really. I'm going to show you at the chemical level because this is, with my board on the green screen, how to do this right. There's a right way to burn a battery to the ground,
You're gonna burn
and
one
there's
up.
a wrong way. Blaming the battery manufacturer, you don't need to know a whole lot about this stuff to be able to detect bullshit because they are talking about things that they don't know anything about. Apparently, because they don't understand these cells at all. Me and Haba do.
Burn them up.
Because they become kind of living things. When you manufacture a cell, when you get the cell together and done, this is the beginning of life for a newborn. You first have to form it with an initial charge, and then you have to age it for several weeks, and then you have to ship it, which is not as easy as it looks, and pack it up in crates and so forth. The cell has a whole life before meeting mom and dad.
Yep, there you go.
If it's going to burn up, it would burn up. If you put it in a car or an airplane or a tank and you run the shit out of it and then it burns up, it's not because it was stillborn. It's 4 months earlier.
Probably not the battery's fault, or contamination or something.
Probably not.
Probably not, yeah.
It's just, there is no magic in batteries. They're a very specific device that operates a very specific way, and it's not a matter of the moon, sacrificing any animal blood. No incantations can be used to alter the path of their fate. There's no superstition to it. If they burn up, there was a reason, and you kind of have to get to it. I'll show you next week one way
to do it.
By overcharging a cell to burn one up, and what specifically happens in the cell to cause that, and why halon's not a good way to put it out, and so forth. I don't want to do that today. Mitsubishi's having battery problems too. So is Boeing. I sent Boeing, the top guy, I found his email address and sent him, he doesn't want to hear about this. That's okay. I've actually worked at Boeing. It was Mac Air then, but and I don't care what happens to those people, but I do care what happens to you. So don't make the same mistakes. We're going to go over this so you understand at a visceral level what you're doing when you overcharge that cell, and why, whether it's by BMS or other murderous intent, the battery doesn't care why it got overcharged. When it got overcharged, it will burn.
Here's what happens, yeah.
And it can get real temper tantrum about it. Whatever your intentions were, and whatever you knew, and whatever incantations you said over it, when it gets enough charge in it, it's going to throw a temper tantrum, and all the king's horses and all the king's men. You're going to be hard-pressed to even put it out before it runs out of battery.
Before it runs out of battery.
Let's do the next one. We'll do that next week. I'll do like a wall talk and kind of go ion by ion, the whole painful, gory tale.
Make sure you go to the bathroom before you start.
The theory of conductivity in metals, but I can do this.
We can do it. Another California compliance car, Mercedes, I guess they're going to do a Tesla powered vehicle.
Well, Tesla's done some drivetrain and battery work for them. Their B-Class is a pretty serious car.
Yeah, it is.
And they're talking about 150-mile range on this thing. Nice car. Everybody's all a Twitter over them selling it in the United States. I wouldn't look for it in all 50 states at a theater near you. I'm on a bet. It shows up in
California.
Where are you from?
Yeah, California. Yeah.
Again, this is we've got a whole thing jumping through hoops to in an artificial fashion to comply with California CAFE standards. I know you're all cheering about that. Those kind of distortions in an economy and in a technology, while they may be very well intentioned, always have subtle artifacts, unintended consequences, and things that happen later that everybody's always saying, well, but wait a minute, we had good intentions. Well, I like good intentions, but be careful. We're getting an awful lot of compliance cars.
Yeah, we are getting a lot. It seems like there's a lot of activity in very low numbers.
And very minor numbers.
Yeah,
yes.
a lot of choices and very low numbers.
What you got?
Well, yeah, we always talk about the price of fuel and gasoline and what affects it and things like that. So we've had some. It looks like the administration, the Obama administration, is going to go ahead and give the EPA the permission to move ahead with taking some more of the sulfur out of gasoline. I guess they've been trying to do this since 2011, and they have told them to go ahead now. It looks like it would cut it by about 2/3, whatever that is, by 2017. It doesn't sound like that's a whole lot more sulfur. One quote from Charles Drebna, president of the American Fuel and Petroleum Manufacturers, I love this quote: "Those remaining molecules of sulfur that are left those little buggers don't want to come out easily.
Right.
So there obviously isn't a lot, but and it's going to cost some money. It's about $10 billion in facility upgrades for the refiners, $2.4 billion in operating costs, and 6 to 9 cents a gallon.
Case in point. Cleanliness is next to godliness. They did probably a good thing on diesel fuel. Diesel fuel was smelly and black.
It used
and
to be bad.
It was kind of bad, and it was cheaper than gasoline, like 50 cents.
A lot cheaper, yeah.
They cleaned the sulfur out of it. And today, diesel smells as sweet as a northern Sonoma Syrah.
Has a nice Rhone variety here, yes.
Well, that's a very good wine.
Isn't it? Yeah, I like that. Kale.
Most of our viewers send us stuff from Two Buck Chuck's.
We'll drink that too.
Yes, we will. But never to complain if they did accidentally slip in a good bottle of good stuff once in a while. So if a little is good, then more must be better. So now they're going ahead with cleaning sulfur out of gasoline. There isn't enough sulfur in gasoline to have much of an
It doesn't
effect.
sound like it. Those little buggers are hard to get out.
But you can spend a lot of money getting them out.
Apparently so, yeah.
And if it worked on diesel, maybe it'll work better on gasoline.
Maybe.
6 to 9 cents at the pump. I'm betting that's a quarter.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'll be able to tell.
No, and then the IMF released a report that we should end the government subsidies on petroleum, and they are figuring that it would take the U.S. figuring this is about 1.9 trillion a year around the globe. About half of about 500 billion would come from the United States a year, and it would take a $1.40 levy a gallon of gas. About 3% of our economic output to do any good at all, and it would discourage overconsumption. But they're talking about close to $1.50.
Overconsumption?
Overconsumption.
Actually, I read an interesting thing, and I want to kind of touch on this law of big numbers, like the blonde said when she read the headline that 2 Brazilians were killed on the jetliner. I don't even know how many's in a Brazilian.
How many's in a Brazilian, that's right.
Actually, our miles driven per year is stabilized, maybe peaked, and could even be diminishing slightly. Right at about 3 trillion miles per year. And at our national average number of miles per gallon, which is now up above 23.
Yeah, I think then we a couple of weeks reported about 24. Yeah.
And at 375 a gallon, that is a total take annually of $489 billion.
Okay. In fuel costs. Okay.
If you drove those same miles, 3 trillion miles, on electricity at the national average of 11.75 cents,
Right.
which ours right now is about 6.8 cents here.
Right, here in Missouri, yeah.
At the national average of 11.75 cents per kilowatt hour, that would be about $81 billion. Or 18%.
Yeah. Wow.
In other words, 82%
82%.
of our energy costs for personal transportation would go up in smoke. As they say.
Yeah.
And so broadly, this is what Jack's about. I see a huge tax on stupid people going on in the world of fossil fuels.
Of fossil fuels, absolutely.
And here is $408 or $409 billion. That's at $3.75 a gallon. You add in your $1.40, another 6 to 9 cents for sulfur.
Yeah, 5
And,
and a quarter, maybe something like that.
You know, you're at 600 billion.
Yeah.
And in fact, the magic of this number is it moves around every day at the pump.
Right.
And it could be anything. I've said from the very beginning, we are not going to run out of oil. That's not possible. In the first place, it wasn't made from dinosaurs. The dinosaurs were plankton and stuff. An endless amount of it. But we're not going to run out of it anyway because you're not going to be able to afford what's left.
Right.
And you'll quit buying.
That's just stop buying it.
I can make hydrocarbons. If you want to give me $100 a gallon, I can even do it profitably.
Right.
With no dinosaurs and no fossils. We're never going to run out of oil, guys. We're probably not ever going to produce more than about what we're producing now. And our
Probably not.
population and the number of cars is on an exponential growth curve. But somewhere along the line, the price and the quantity and the need are all going to hit a certain point. In fact, they're going to do it every afternoon for the rest of history. But that point can move around, and we could be paying $12 a gallon. And for you and I personally, in some of our personal aspects of life, can undergo a dramatic change based on where all those lines cross on any particular afternoon. They're probably not going down, and they're probably not going to stay the same if we have an exponential growth in population and the number of cars.
Number of cars, yeah. Wow.
We could all quit driving. We can conserve. I'm not a real conserving kind of guy. I like to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Is there a way through technology for me to drive just as many miles and consume that much less fossil fuels and at that much less expense? Yes. I can do so at 18% of the current cost.
Right.
Now, the pump price moves around quite freely. What happens to the electric price? Does it go up and down?
The electric price does not fluctuate nearly like fossil fuels do.
It can go up and down.
But yeah.
It takes a vote of the Public Utilities Commission in each and every state.
Right, yeah. It's
for each of the different rates.
Yes.
But right now, the Public Utilities Commission has to approve it. And the utility companies have gotten to be very good at making a case for an increase. Rarely do they apply for a decrease. I don't know why that is.
I know. It never goes down.
But to do so, they have to marshal a lot of information. And so they're pretty smart about their costs and about what they have to do to make electricity. So it's a much more predictable, much more stable form of energy. And in fact, it's our most fungible form because with some flexibility, they can introduce different fuels into the mix to make the electricity.
To make the electricity, ultimately.
Of them, the two magnetic fluxes reacting to each other is magic to me because it's simply 5 or 6 times more efficient at moving me and my car down the road than lighting little packets of vaporized gasoline and exploding them after the fashion of Jethro Bodine and Uncle Jed and the Clampetts.
That's right. A mistake.
I might suggest for the financial and economic future of our economy and our country that moving to electric drive for personal transportation primarily would be in order. It would be a good thing for each and every one of you. Along the way, you have the personal value proposition and how many charging stations we need and whether it's with the CHAdeMO plug or the SAE plug. And all of that is intensely interesting, but barely if you back up and look at the overall picture. There is some sense of urgency to get this done. What else you got?
Well, let's see.
That's just some numbers I thought you'd see from the top. 3 trillion miles, $490 billion at the pump,
Yeah.
80 billion if you're doing it with electricity.
I mean, that's a
That's where we're
very
at today.
simple, elegant case. And, you know, it doesn't look like Better Place is going to have too much of an impact on that. It looks like that they are just received a going concern warning, which means that they could operate usually the next 12 months without the fear of liquidation. But after that,
Actually, it's sort of a warning that maybe sometime in the next 12 months, they're not going to
they're
be
not going to
operating.
be operating.
What are their numbers, Brain?
It looks like this is absolutely amazing, and I did not know this. So 2012 numbers, they generated $7 million in revenue. Now, $7 million is not.
I could use
is-
7 million.
yeah, but it's not a lot of money.
Compared to what?
Compared to losing $386 million.
You're right. That's not a lot compared to that.
And even worse when you look at the total equity deficit of $765 million.
So, this guy, and many of our viewers buy into this, by the way. I don't know why. This guy come up with the idea of changing the batteries in your car, having never once changed anything, including his own motor oil. He has raised $700 and something million. In 2012, they took in 7, spent 386, and his response was to resign.
Yeah, him and his next
And then they named somebody
successor,
else.
Evan
a successor.
Thornley.
And how long was he there before he didn't like
I
the
would
numbers
say
either?
it's less than 3 months. There's also a long list of other senior executives that have left. They've cut a third of the workforce. They have 600 employees, and it looks like another 10% are headed for the doors.
Yeah. So, big, we call this big hat, no cattle. Big idea, big mouth. It didn't ever, from the beginning, make a lick of sense. The cars are different. People want different cars. We don't all want to drive the same car. How can we all drive the same battery?
Right.
We don't even all have the same carburetor.
Well, I mean,
We don't have the same air cleaner. We can't get anything the same from one car to the next.
that's right. And then you need all the manufacturers to agree on anything, and they all want to have proprietary things.
One of the greatest achievements of mankind during the 20th century was to finally standardize on the valve stem and the tire so you can air the tires out.
Put air in the tires.
That's the only thing we got standardized
Pop top on a
car.
beer can.
This guy's going to replace a quarter of the weight of the car
Right.
with a standard package.
Right. Yeah.
We know how that's
can't
gonna
do
work.
it.
But you know, there's a lot of failure in the air. There's a lot of things going on. What's with Fisker, for example?
Fisker this week, well, actually, you can't talk to anybody at Fisker this week. I wouldn't call because they're all on furlough, all of their 200 U.S. employees. And someone did get employed this week that is working with Fisker, an attorney, a law firm.
You know, a lot of law firms and liquidation companies do show up for these things. When's the auction?
We don't know, but there is,
Keep an ear to the, well,
if they answer the phone.
the information thing. See, when they're announcing all that stuff on the press releases, it's in this type. It's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
When you're digging the 7,386 million, that's in the SEC filing. That's 4-point type.
That's tiny
Now,
type.
the liquidation thing, we got to watch carefully on the internet because it's usually an email message somewhere.
That's right.
So you really got to keep watching for
That's
that
right. That
one,
will only get by mistake.
for the liquidation. I had an interesting conversation with Sinopoly. We started out, actually our first batteries were Seimens. That was a disaster.
Right away.
My first successful lithium battery purchase was from Elite Power Solutions in Arizona.
Yeah, Phoenix or
And they
Tempe,
were Thunder Sky batteries. And I became a fan of the Thunder Sky battery. And Winston Chung, or Chung Hin Ka, is his actual name,
yeah.
was the chief cook and bottle washer for Winston Battery. And he took on an investor, raised a bunch of money, again, from an investment consortium. They all immediately fell out. He sold I don't know, $500–600 million worth of the resulting stock.
Oh, okay.
Went and started giving away money in California.
Yeah, he gave the UC Riverside $10 million.
And they promptly sued
Yep.
each other.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting all kinds of strange things in Chinglish declaring victory from both sides for the last 6 months. But it would appear that, that my contact at Winston now is passing me off to another gal because she's leaving. And they did allow us how the bankruptcy that they are been placed in by the court is appealable for 1 year, and they expect to prevail.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So Winston Battery Company is essentially defunct and bankrupt. Sinopoly and the battle there continues with some lawsuits. Probably toward the end of 2014, that'll be all stirred out.
Okay.
But this is a publicly traded company in Hong Kong. And so they have the equivalent of SEC filings.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sure.
And I found some very interesting stuff. This Chinese battery thing is almost a seam in the zone. We're getting away with murder. Our OEMs and everybody is focused on LG Chem and A123, which, by the way, had an SEC filing this week. Guess what? They have officially changed the name of A123 to
B345?
B456.
They did?
I'm not making this up, Brian. It's a March 28 8K filed with the SEC on March 28, an official 8K form.
Oh,
A123 will be hereinafter known as B456.
I can't believe it. That ain't right.
That
ain't right.
So
that ain't
not right.
That ain't right, man.
A123, now B456.
Oh, my God.
Is this a fun company to follow or what? And we have for so long.
We have for a long time.
You know, we were talking about them in the first couple of shows we did. But I'm beginning to suspect that we actually have much, much better batteries than the IMEF, than the Boeing Dreamliner, than a lot of them. This is the classic tale of 12 blind men around an elephant, each feeling the poor beast up and trying to describe in words what she looks like, depending on where they're standing. And so we've got LG Chem batteries and Johnson Controls batteries and A123 batteries, which are now B456 batteries. Supposed to be used in the Chevy Spark, an American company now owned by the Chinese.
Right, now owned by the Chinese. All that American development money, all our taxpayer money.
The ones we've been getting through the back door from China, I think, may be quite better cells in all respects than what Tesla's using, what GM's using, and so forth. But it's not, I've always been a little uneasy about it. Whenever I talk to them, they talk about huge numbers of cells, millions of cells all over the world. And this EV thing is just a little sideshow.
Yeah, just a
so
little.
they couldn't possibly decrease the price and so forth. Turns out we're most of the sales.
Oh, really?
And they're not at all what you think. Sinopoly, of course, has to file a thing. Their battery sales quadrupled in 2012 from the previous year, which is natural enough. They had $4.5 million in U.S., not in U.S., in total battery sales.
$4.5 million in sales?
About $1 an amp hour, 4.5 million amp hours. They now have 2 factories that they have expanded and have a capacity of 250 million amp hours per year. And last year they sold $4.5 million worth.
Oh, man.
Which is slightly over 20,000 cells.
Yeah, right. Oh.
What's that? 500 cars.
Yeah.
That was their total sales worldwide. More interesting, they made $450,000 in profit on it. You remember I said the price of batteries was probably not coming down? They probably already come down.
Yeah.
They're
right,
at a
it's all-
9.5% margin now.
Yeah, wow.
You won't get anything from EVTV's online store for 9.5%. I'm not even going to take a photograph of it for that.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot to ask. That's a tight margin, tight enough.
They have 1,100 employees. They lost about $15 million on it.
Okay.
They've got 1,100 employees, 2 big factories. They're set to go, and they're cranking along at $4.5 million.
$4.5 million in sales.
And a net profit of $450,000, which is about what I've got sunk into the Escalade, I think, at last count.
That's right.
Is that incredible?
It really is. It really is a lot different than you would think. Yeah, a lot different.
It's amazing. I wrote him up a big long thing of how to break into the market and get off the ground. And the guy immediately goes into suspicious mode. And, this sounds like a consignment lot with you, and, we can't possibly. I basically told him, well, use your best efforts and try to get it up to $6 million next year.
That's right. If you doubled, you'd be at 9.
I laid out for him the problems with selling batteries in the United States. First, we're an instant gratification society. Nobody wants to get on Amazon.com, click on their item, pay for it, and get it 12 weeks later.
No, you forgot you've ordered it at that point. Yeah.
Also, when we click, then we don't want to have to drive down to the bank and explain to them, the 24-year-old gal that's supposed to be in charge of this, what an international wire transfer is, how you do one, and how to route it through Hong Kong to mainland China.
What was the one? What country is Hong Kong in?
Right, what country
We
is
got to
Hong
ask
Kong
that.
in?
What country is Hong Kong in?
Why don't you call him the person that's in charge of that for the bank? It's supposed to be me.
What country is Hong Kong?
What country is Hong Kong in? And so, their ability to take payments is very
Yeah, limited. They're limited.
And that's the 2 big things. And after that, it's a noisy environment. You have to advertise. You have to establish a name. Some market acceptance. They had most of that with Thundersky, and they threw it away by changing the name.
They changed the name.
Changed the name and changed the color of the battery, and now it's a whole new thing. And they
Right.
think that's a good thing.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's like starting all over. But they're not taking advice from me very well. In fact, with a deep suspicion, as if I'm there to harm them. I've already harmed you. I sell CALB cells and will sell CALB cells. And you're not going to sell a second-rate cell for the same price with a 12-week delay and require a wire transfer for me to get it. And so I offered them actually quite a bit of my time working this out, trying to explain it in Chinglish, and was treated quite rudely, actually. I shouldn't bite on
You
this.
should just stop doing that.
But yeah, that's there. And so I think CALB's a little bigger, doing a little better, but it's not the number of cells that you imagine.
Yeah, right. Seems like it'd be huge.
When they say they can't decrease the price, they really can't decrease the price.
Right.
However, this is like my Australian pilot, furious that you can buy Australian wine in the U.S. cheaper than you could in Sydney. The Chinese government gives them a little rebate for every cell that they sell overseas.
Overseas. Okay. Yeah.
And so they have a little incentive to do that. Nissan
Yes.
is claiming they're going to have 1,900 units sold
Right.
this month,
Right.
March. There's still a few days left, but they think it's going to come in about 1,900. And they've started production in the UK now. They're now
Yeah.
in Japan, Smyrna, Tennessee, and the United Kingdom producing. And this will be their top month ever.
Yes. And what I said, this the June of 2011 with 1,708 units was their previous
That
high
was
mark.
The second.
Yeah, previous high
They have
water.
their new 2013 model. They dropped the price a little bit. Supposedly bumped the range about 2.5 miles, something like that. And so there you go. What else have you got?
Just a little report from the world of racing, and then I've kind of got it all. The Formula E, the FIA has announced Michelin as the official tire supplier for the for their Formula E, and looks like they're going to have some electric motorcycles into Pikes Peak this year. Zero is teamed up with Hollywood Motorcycles. Some privateers have been coming out. So we love racing and kind of stress testing and beating up these electric vehicles. It's got to be good. And that's it from the world of news.
Tesla, Elon Fisk got everybody going this week. He tweeted.
Tweeted.
He's a twit.
He tweeted. Yes.
He tweeted.
Tweeted.
All right. He tweeted that they had some really exciting things to announce at Tesla, and he was actually going to put his money where his mouth is.
Okay.
Now that implies an announcement, and he originally said he would announce it Thursday, which would have been yesterday.
Okay.
But that would kind of mess up the, they are publicly traded. This is the end of the quarter.
Oh, he couldn't, yes.
It might be viewed as a stock manipulation or something. So
Yeah.
he's put it off till next Tuesday, the big announcement.
Okay.
So it's going to be a very exciting announcement from Tesla. And Elon Musk is finally going to put his money where his mouth is. So what could that be? Let's get our bets down. It involves, it sounds like a personal investment from Elon Musk, or an investment by Tesla if he thinks he is Tesla. But he's finally going to put his money where his mouth
Money
is.
where his mouth is.
And it's some really exciting stuff. What do you think the announcement is going to be on Tuesday? Let's get our bets down now.
Is Tesla can't be buying anybody.
Could be. That would be an investment. Who would they buy? Why would that be exciting and him finally putting his money where his mouth is?
I couldn't imagine who they would buy. Yeah.
Well, I can. They should buy Apple Computer. Of course, Apple's a lot larger, and Apple should
got a lot of
probably buy
cash
them.
by Tesla.
Now, who do you know with the cojones to pull that one off?
there you
Bart?
go.
There's only one guy we know that'll do that.
Do that.
Try to buy a company 100 times his size and have to give up and let them buy him.
Let them buy him, yeah. That could be
Blast from
interesting.
the past.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do if I was his thing. I'd call Tim Cook, tell him, hey, look, jig's up.
I won.
I need all your stuff,
need everything.
all your people, your buildings. What's the number?
Yeah, that's right.
What's it going to take Apple out?
We need office furniture.
We need office furniture. We need everything. What's it going to take? I'm going to guess that's not, but that's an interesting thought. Any other?
Not really. Not really. What do you think?
Well, I think we've already announced it, and so it's not news to us, but it is to him,
Okay.
and will be to the Tesloids. Do you remember how I described their supercharger network?
Yes.
It involved Solar City. Where do you get 100 kilowatts of power?
Right.
From batteries. How do you charge the battery? Solar panels.
Solar, yeah.
How do you do that out on the interstate highway where you can't even get three-phase power?
Solar.
Solar, batteries. Solar City's IPO is quite successful. I made a few ducats on that.
Oh.
Came out and dipped. I bought in it, but went out. It's doing pretty good. I don't remember what it is, 17, 18 bucks, something like that. But Solar City is launched. It's now public. The quiet period's over. Everything's, you can talk about Solar City. Of course, there was the bitter exchange with him and the New York Times guy
Yes, right.
about charging the
Right.
thing.
Yep.
He is very testy these days about the long tailpipe and coal thing. Elon, it's red herring. It's a stupid argument. Don't get drug into the dust. But somehow he's given it enough validity to have it upset him. It doesn't matter, but I think it does to him.
Right, whatever works, yeah. Yep.
And so I look for something that has to do with being able to drive a Tesla Model S anywhere in the country. I look for it to have something to do with not using coal.
Okay.
And so we're back where we predicted that last July on the supercharger network, which thus far we hit every single nail, point, dot, and tittle on. I described it. He announced it the next week, and it was...
Yeah, it was. That was
the only thing different from what I said was he left out parts. Now he's going to fill them in. And that is Solar City is doing the financing and stuff of the places.
For the supercharger sites, yeah.
They're going to have solar and batteries there to charge from. And how are they going to finance all that? What did we say last July? Which, by the way, in the meantime, Hostess has gone out of business.
They have.
Yes.
Yes, I know.
Ding dongs, Twinkies, and ho-hos. Elon is going to introduce the world's largest big gulp of Coca-Cola. He's calling it the New Yorker.
That's right. It'll be against the law in some cities.
It's technically against the law in certain cities.
And now that you can get a cup holder for a Model S from an aftermarket,
right, from the aftermarket. It's all starting to play together. We're talking about a 192 ounce big gulp.
Right.
They're going to call the New Yorker.
That's right. And it'll be
and
illegal.
A sack full of ho-hos, and you're ready to go, baby.
Right.
So you can stop into your Solar City supercharger station, get you a New Yorker and a sack full of ding-dongs, and you're back on the road,
Ready to
babe.
party.
Partying down. And so to us, it's going to be kind of a lame Tuesday because we've already talked about all that. But what he did was talk about supercharger network and charging and showing these, we need little charge stations in a few places in California, alluding to bigger things in the future. Well, now we're going to paint it out. And it's going to be Solar City is now a publicly traded company. And so they're going to go in, imagine, we said to have one every 50 miles. He's not, because Model S has a longer range, he's going to be talking every 100 miles, probably. And so instead of 1,150 of them, we're talking about 500.
That's a little more manageable.
Which is about the size of like a 7-Eleven chain. And we're going to have a brand new Solar City is not only going to be in the solar power business, but they're going to be a solar-powered convenience store chain, which is a very profitable place to be in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep.
And
solar-powered slurping machines.
166,000 gasoline stations can't be wrong.
Right.
Making a nickel a gallon or 4 cents a gallon on the gasoline, but them ho-hos go at
Those
a
are
300%
profitable.
profit.
Right, that's right.
Do you know what they make on a bag of Funyuns? It
pains me to think of it.
It should be considered usury.
That's right, it is.
It's egregious profit.
The law.
Should be beyond the pale of law.
That's right. No one should do that.
Ho-hos, ding-dongs, yum-yums, and the 192-ounce New Yorker.
That's right. In your coffee, in your holder, cup
In
holder
your
in your
Model
Tesla.
S.
That's right.
And, of course, they can vary that regionally and have a alfalfa sprout pita pocket and a berry water.
Yeah.
Same old, same old.
Yeah, it's a berry-flavored vitamin water.
Yeah, right, with the alfalfa and bean sprout pita pocket.
That's right. There you go.
Here in the Midwest, it's going to be ho-hos, ding-dongs, and the 192-ounce big gulp called the New York City.
Solar-powered deep fryer for your chicken livers.
Now, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Next Tuesday, drum roll, we're going to
There we
have
go.
a big announcement. He's finally going to put his money where his mouth is, and it's a very exciting thing for Tesla. I think it's a big rollout of a national thing, and they're going to have the biggest chain of convenience stores in the United States, powering all of it with solar.
All right. And they could pull all the Teslas up probably and keep it open if it's cloudy sky.
You betcha.
Just call them all in.
That's right. Call
We need to
me.
keep the good. We got Slurpees to sell,
We
man.
got Slurpees. It's Slurpees, the New York City Slurpee. I think that
it ain't
guy
right.
got overturned. I don't think he can limit the sodas.
No, I do think the court said no. That not Giuliani,
What's his name?
Michael Bloomberg.
Bloomberg,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think they said no.
They said, no, you're a
It's-
dumbass.
yeah, that's right. No, you can have as big of a
Can't
Coke
fix
as you
any
want.
potholes, but you're out regulating the size of soda
Size
pops.
of soda.
Well,
Oy
celebrating the court's decision,
Yeah.
Elon Musk is coming on with a
gonna-
192-ounce Bloomberg New York City Big Gulp,
The Bloomberger.
the Bloomberger.
Give me a
And,
glass. I'll give you a little,
I
little shot of the juice.
continue my march on the heating system. Of course, we passed the vernal equinox. This is Good Friday, and a very good Friday it is. I'll be appearing tonight and tomorrow night at the St. Mary's Cathedral of the Ascension, of the Annunciation,
Pronunciation.
singing in the choir, of course. And so next week it's spring, at which point we can celebrate having the heater working on the Cadillac Escalade. Let's take a look.
All righty.
All right, the gift that keeps on giving, the Cadillac Elescalade EXT heating system. Why do we keep revisiting this? Well, it's because we keep getting it wrong. I know it's been 2.5 years, but if you think back, my criteria on this vehicle was not that it do 0 to 60 in 7.5. In fact, I didn't care if it moved at all. What I said was our air conditioning and our heating are going to be perfectly operational, including the Peltier heating and cooling system in the seats, which blows cold air up my skirt in the summer and warm air in the winter. It's actually not connected to the rest of the environmentals. It's a Peltier heating and cooling system. I've got some ideas about that. If I get the components in, we may do a special on a trick air conditioning heating system for electric vehicles that can be assembled for less than $1 Brazilian, but not much less, based on the thermal electric effect or Peltier effect. Peltier. Meanwhile, we have to get this heating done before the 4th of July. That's my goal. Have the heat perfectly operational by the 4th of July so we can work on the air conditioning until Thanksgiving. And we just kept not getting it right. Recall we added a larger heating element, melted some hoses, replaced the hoses, and we had used a solid state relay which had got away from us because it failed on. I warned you that they would do that. Well, it did. It failed on and would have drained my pack to 0 and caused a fire. And so I should be done with these forever, but hope springs eternal. What we're going to do instead is bring back our buddy the contactor, and we're going to wire that to the 12-volt relay that applies 12 volts to my temperature controller and to the pump, and it will also apply 12 volts to this contactor, and our negative pack lead is going to go through the contactor. It'll go from the contactor to a new non-burnt up solid state relay of 80 amps, DC 240 volts. But this time I have the factory designed heatsink that it's mounted on. And you can get these for them. And I guess I think they're kind of mandatory now. But we've added that and then bolted that to our metal plate there, so we should have a much more effective heat sink and hopefully prevent this from going out. Then it's activated again by our temperature controller. What's that going to do? Well, this will do the cycling. It has no mechanical contacts, and it'll cycle on and off. But when I get out of the car and turn the ignition off or turn the heating switch off, either one, we lose the 12 volts to that heating relay. And so we lose the 12 volts to the contactor, and my battery is disconnected from that heating element no matter what happens with this. This was one of our viewers suggested this. I don't know why I didn't see it from the beginning. I think John Hardy calls it crowdsourcing or the wisdom of crowds. But anyway, we've implemented that, and so we have these two in series. This one is closest to the battery pack. This one's closest to the heater. This will bear the brunt of the cycling, but if it fails, when the switch goes off, this goes off too. And so no fire, and so no battery drained. It was cycling pretty hard, and this is all a little bit interactive with our heating system. It has kind of a big heat exchanger in there and kind of a complex one. Each side of the front seat has its own temperature control. And if I turn that to 90 and let this heat up and then turn on the fan, I would get good heat in there. But it wasn't really operating in the Cadillac fashion. In fact, I would start to lose temperature at 90 with the fan full up. The heater still at what we calculate about 3,700 watts just wasn't quite enough to have it on full bore and full fan. Fortunately, that shouldn't be our modus operandi anyway. We should be able to have it at 75 degrees and a gentle fan, and it just thermostatically control this. And at that level, it seemed like it's well within the capabilities of the device. But we were cycling a lot, and here's what we did about that. We eliminated, we had a can identical to this, not even a quart. We replaced it with this, which I got on eBay. It's some NASCAR racing overflow thing. I was attracted to it because it comes with AN6 connections already. On the top, you put a regular radiator cap, a pressure cap. And here it has a small port, and what we did there was set up a system with some JB Weld and drilling out a AN6 fitting for this to where we could put our temperature probe in the bottom, and so it's not dependent on the fluid level. One of the things that was happening was the temperature would go up and our fluid would expand so much it would spume out of the whole system. Now when it cools down, it would go down so much that it was below our thermometer, and in some cases sucking air into our system. So we have a pretty big expansion and contraction of our 50% glycol and water thing. By going to a larger container, we can accommodate that expansion and contraction within the bottle. By putting our probe at the bottom, we eliminate that waving in the air instead of in the solution. And by increasing the volume of the system, we seem to get a better cycling. I've got this set to 170, cuts off, and 150 it comes back on, and it cycles fairly gently and maintains a temperature. Remember, that's the temperature taken in this can, and it's probably 20 degrees higher, and our heater is designed for 195 degree Fahrenheit liquids. So all that's pretty good. The other thing we did to improve cycling was put a dense foam, kind of a new firewall material they have, around this bottle and around both of our heater bottles on the bottom. And that insulates them. In fact, it does a very good job of it. You don't even feel any temperature on the outside of this when this is at 160 or 170 degrees. So we've increased the mass of the system, the liquid, we've insulated it, and changed the temperature slightly and kind of tuned it to our Cadillac system. And now I can operate it as it's meant to be, where you dial in 75 or 74 degrees, and it simply maintains that with those bypass valves in the heat exchanger. It can individually bypass each side of the heat exchanger for the passenger and the driver, and the fan to maintain the temperature there at your desired 74 degrees, and still have a fairly gentle cycling with not much overshoot. We'll go down to about 148, 147, and we'll shoot up to 173 or 174. Again, we cut off at 170. It'll keep going up 2 or 3 degrees, but by having a larger mass of liquid, that's been ameliorated quite a bit. Then it'll fall. It comes back on at 150, but it'll continue to fall to about 147. And so we've got it in a good range now. We've got plenty of fluid. We can account for the expansion and contraction of the fluid because of the temperature change, and we've insulated the bottles. Electrically, we've improved our safety by using our contactor as a master shutoff and letting our solid state relay bear the brunt of the cycling. It remains to be seen if this heat exchanger and our new mounting prevents loss of this device. Again, I don't really like these because they fail shorted, and it happened again. No sooner had I told you about all the ratings on this and why I had them confused, and that was why it failed shorted. We had it fail shorted, and I had to shut off the battery pack with the maintenance switch to prevent it getting entirely away. But we got up to 240 degrees before I did, and melted some hoses and so forth. So life at EVTV, it's always an adventure. That's the summary of our latest improvements, and we'll keep you updated. But right now, the heat's pretty pleasant, and it's Good Friday. By this time next week, it should be spring, and I won't need this for another year. And then we'll start work on the air conditioning system and do that all summer and try to get that completed by Christmas. And so it goes. Stay with us. On to bigger and better things.
Yeah,
I got to get that air conditioner going by Christmas,
That's
baby.
it, man.
So we'll work on that a little bit.
I'll give you a little tipple there.
Yes, tipple me.
Oh, shall.
That's Mr. Breen.
Yeah.
That's pretty good vino.
Yeah.
I could learn to get used to that.
Yeah, and during the celebration
Do you think he could support me in the style with which I would like to become
I
accustomed?
think so. Just move in. That's right.
I like my second wife so much better than number one. I can't wait to meet this is number 3. And I believe the Supreme Court swings my way. Michael Breen makes the list.
That's right.
If he can buy wine like this.
That's right. Nice way to go.
Depends on how that little court case comes out.
Yeah, they're working on it.
Stay on standby for now, Mike.
That's right. That's right.
We also did things to my thing.
Yes, we did some things.
Let's take a look.
All right.
Okay, Breen. Well, dare I ask, do we have 2 microphones working now?
I hope. Test.
In answer to the accusations from our viewers, I was not in charge of audio that day. I didn't do anything to Breen. Who was in charge of the audio? No, I didn't.
I was. I muted myself.
Well, I caught hell for it. They think I'm trying to talk over you and that I've done it with a microphone. He's in charge of the audio.
That's right. Sorry, guys.
What are we doing here, man?
You know, I'm not sure, but what we've got is our Seimens motor now. After we have put the adapter on, everything showed you all last week how to do that. So we slid it underneath the car, and we cannot figure out a way to get this motor in. And remember, it's going to come up about 6 inches here.
What's your measurement from the front of the adapter to the transmission right now?
We are sitting at, without my glasses, about 3 3/4 inches.
What do you got back here?
I have about 3.
So we actually clear the face, but not the edge.
Not the edge, yeah.
How many times have we been beaten by 3/32 of an inch?
Oh, it's been, what, hundreds? I mean, God, it happens all
It's
the time.
like magic.
Yeah.
We could take 2 sticks and 1 hole, and we'd be off 3/32 of an inch.
Exactly. Yeah, it just
It
happens.
would almost fit. I've got piles of stuff around here.
Yeah, there's boxes.
I could probably get $700 in scrap for the stuff we've cut that's almost the right size.
There is a lot of difference between an interior diameter and an exterior.
That's true. Inner dimension.
Inner dimension and an outer dimension, yeah. There's a lot of difference.
We have received a lot of advice from our expert viewership.
Oh, okay.
Some
Thank
of
you.
us want to cut this thing in half and extend it like a limousine. The best suggestion, of course, and this is done, our Spider has the transmission flipped
Right, mid-engine, yeah.
and a mid-engine,
Yeah.
so we could flip the transmission and put the motor forward. There's 2 problems there. One, there's a lot of metal under there guarding that transmission.
There is.
That's probably on purpose.
Yeah, there's a lot. And then supporting this too, the frame horns, the torsion tubes, there's a lot of stuff under there.
There's this is like a Kubelwagen, which means bucket truck,
Bucket truck, that's right.
not a Beetle. So
Right.
it was meant to go off-road.
Yeah.
So there's 2 pretty good-sized tubes along that transmission.
Yeah, it's big.
The other thing is the transmission was how long? About 23,
I think it was 23 inches, yeah.
and the motor's 21.
21, yeah.
We're losing ground, not gaining.
Yeah, by trying to flip it.
If we
yeah.
flip it, we're sticking out further. So that's not going to work. It almost fits, is what's amazing.
does.
I
It
didn't
almost
expect
fits.
it to at all, and it almost does.
Yeah, we thought it was going to actually look something like this, that it was going to stick out about this far, and that's not true.
So here's the thing about the VW is it's something I like about them, and it's something I don't. In most of your conversions, you're going to have to mate to the transmission. You have to mount the transmission to something, and then you have to put motor mounts on the motor to hold that up.
Right, to hold that, to support
And
it.
this
yeah.
is a heavy motor.
Yes.
However, we're going to try hanging it from the VW tranny. And the reason for that is that the way the suspension is, this transmission floats separately from the body.
Yeah, and it's rubber mounted.
Or you could say the body
Body is
floats
yeah,
over
yeah.
the transmission.
Yeah.
We can't connect them anywhere. If we put motor mounts, this will never work. A VW rear end, this whole body has to float separately from that transmission. So we can't tie that motor to anything. Worse, we can't have anything striking here.
No.
And when we put 44 batteries back there and the controller right here on this shelf that Shannon made us, this thing's going to squat down a little bit on the shocks and springs.
It is. It'll squat a little bit, yeah, with that weight.
So we have to, unfortunately, while we missed a little bit there, cutting this out doesn't quite get the whole thing, does it?
No, there's...
We're going to wind up cutting into her lid.
Yeah, there's an issue of this deck lid because we're probably, this is going to come up 5.5 to 6 inches here.
So we're probably going to have to cut up almost to this edge
Yeah.
and lose our latch completely.
Yeah, lose the latch and probably have to configure something on the sides over here, like a Jeep latch or some kind of latch to hold that down.
I'm good with the leather strap look.
The leather strap look.
On something like this, yeah, that would work. Yeah, I sent this out, got it all painted up. Now we're going to have to chop it up. So I don't have any other ideas, Brain. This looks like time for the Sawzall.
It may be.
Do you have any
I mean,
other thoughts before we
I mean, other than
send it into surgery?
yeah, other than some very intricate body work that we're not a body shop and a custom body shop at that.
Yeah.
To be able to produce something that would do whatever we needed it to do.
We should probably in the next year paint the floor white and get us some guys with tattoos in here.
Yeah, they seem to be good at that.
Yes, they're good at body work.
Yeah, yeah. So,
We're not.
no,
really,
yeah, some custom fabrication.
we don't
yeah.
do resto stuff very good, and
No.
But I watched that show. It's amazing.
There's some cool
they
stuff.
do it in about 20 minutes. too.
They can just like that. Yeah. They must never sleep.
Well, we're not West Coast Customs, but let's cut us a piece and install that motor and see where we're at.
See what we are. Okay, we can do that. And I'm going to make my apologies in advance to the Thing Shop, the Thing, everything parts place, club, owner, and enthusiast in the world.
Are we committing
We are committing a faux pas.
a thing faux
Thing
pas?
faux pas. And I'll apologize in advance, guys.
Are we butchering a classic?
Yeah.
They made a Brazilian of these. Well, not of things.
Yeah, not of
they only sold them for 2 years.
Yeah, 73 and 74. Yeah, yeah.
The issue was a Super Beetle, and that was right when I was graduating high school, was about $3,000. And that was not really cheap.
Not really
a
cheap,
Volkswagen
not then.
by then was not cheap.
Right.
A Ford was $2,185,
Yeah, that's right.
and a Super Beetle was kind of going at a premium by then, about $3,000. This was $1,500 more than a Super Beetle.
That's a big premium for this thing.
Yeah, it was too much. So they sold them for 2 years, and they didn't sell very many of them.
Yeah, in the U.S. Yeah.
In the U.S. But there's a Brazilian of them in NATO. It was the Jeep. While they tried to do the NATO designed by committee Jeep that they designed for about 25 years and never actually got a prototype. And they just kept buying Kubelwagens
things
while they're waiting for the European version of the Hummer.
Yeah,
which never did happen. And so I actually worked on a program at Emerson Electric for the Hummer, the tow missile launcher.
Oh, that'd be a cool Hummer to have. With tow missile launcher.
Yeah, a tow was a optically wire guided. It was an optical wire. This thing would fire a missile that trailed the wire back, and you could fly it into the target.
Ah, cool.
It was a pretty neat thing.
Yeah.
And they mounted them on Hummers, and here was this GM and AMG, some sort of a consortium committee doing this thing, and I'm reading the spec on this, and it's like, hit a 36-inch wall 2 feet thick at 35 miles an hour without incurring damage.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it was just like bizarre. So I said, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And later I bought one.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we kind of made a name for ourselves with the ISPCon by giving them away.
That's right. That's right.
At every show.
Gave them away.
But I was fascinated by the Hummer. That was before I learned you had to have an army to maintain them.
Yeah, and when you have an army, that's cool. And you can have a lot of Hummers then.
So then I had a son-in-law I punished by giving him my Hummer.
That's right. Shipped it off back to Colorado.
Although he really liked it.
Yeah, I bet.
But they are kind of cool cars. But they never did wind up with a European Hummer. They just kept selling Kubelwagens. But the thing was just 73 and 74.
73, 74 in the
and
U.S.
It was just priced out of the market. It was $4,500 when you could buy a Pinto for $2,185 right from the factory.
Yeah, maybe a Jeep even for less than this.
Yes, a Jeep was less than the thing.
Than the thing, yeah.
And so it didn't make much sense. But we do have a couple of rugged bars under the transmission, which are kind of cool. A little bit larger drive axles, CV joints, and as we found a 100-millimeter flange instead of the 90.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
So it's got some little peculiarities. But unfortunately, we're about, we could use a half inch here.
About a half an inch.
If we had a half an inch, life would be good. and we don't.
No, we could then do just maybe some cutting on the interior and stuff, but there's just too much material in there. We may be able to figure out some way to make it look good at the end, but for the time being, I think we're just going to have to take out the Sawzall and commit thing seppuku.
Thing seppuku, right? Hari on the thing.
On the thing, yeah, jump on our own Sawzall.
Well, let's make this one.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Roll this bad boy out of here. Ah, there we go.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, let me clean them up, and then yeah, go ahead and drop this thing down and. Yeah, that's working back here. Hey, wipe my glasses off here.
Well, you know at EVTV, our motto, there's always time for safety. So, we are going to go ahead and whack away at this thing and hopefully enjoy ourselves. All right.
Well, Reno, welcome back, buddy. Next time I have a shaft to cut off.
Yeah, that's right. That was a hell of an episode, huh, guys?
Yeah, well, I don't see me do that too often because you're so goddamn good at it. Look at this. That's a perfect cut. You should have seen me cutting a shaft off to the theme from Shaft.
To the theme from Shaft. Shush your mouth.
Shut your mouth. I'm talking about Shaft. He's one bad mother.
Shush
No,
your
that's
mouth.
a perfect cut. Let's
Want to roll a motor up and
jack
see
it
if
up
it...
and I'll get a motor.
All right, let's see. Yep. I had to pay 25 cents for magic fingers last time I felt anything that good. Let me get her up here. Just let me know when we got her cleared. Yeah, that was a good choice, Shane, the Sawzall. I made a nice clean cut. And a new blade, that's all we needed. Yeah, we got it? Okay.
Okay.
Did are we good in the back, the lugs, are they?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. All right, we're on the ground.
Oh, we're on the ground.
Yep, we're on the
So
ground.
we're jacking up the jack now.
Yep. You have that half inch? Can you crank us up a little bit? I think you had a half. Yeah, go
Square motor makes it easy to handle on the jack.
it's much easier. Yeah, much easier.
Long-winded.
Did we? My microphone? Am I on? Yep. I don't think we're recording right now, are we?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Tell us about it.
Well, looks like we're cranking the jack up here. We have made a point of entry here for our motor, and I think we're probably about there, huh? Let's go ahead and, yep, we'll go ahead and, when you think we got it lined up, let's go ahead and get those bad boys in there. There's one, okay. All right. Yeah, with the V-dub, yeah, it's good to be at the same angle. I can't see the angle of the input shaft on the transmission. But a lot of times they'll slide right in.
A lot of times
A lot of times they won't, and it's not like with a regular engine. You've got that pulley bolt back here that you can move so you can get the splines. We don't. Sometimes we'll have to move the flywheel a little bit to get the splines lined up, and we may have the butt end of it a little too high. It's hard to tell.
Yes, it is.
Is it?
There you go. Something slid right in.
Starting to get it, yeah. Let me see if I can see from over here. Yeah, there's probably, let's see. You don't have a bad angle. The top may actually, it may be a little bit high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what I'm.
Is that what you're thinking? Yeah, I think it's a little high.
Here, hang on, I know what's wrong. I think.
There you go. I think that's what we need is the ass end of it higher. Nope. Got yourself caught in there.
You should have put this up in the air and you got a transmission jack under it. Because we can tilt them.
We can. There you go. That's all you needed.
Or just slide it.
Or just slide it in.
Brian and I were working on the Speedster one day, and we had a motor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, turn around over here. There
a
you
cherry
go.
picker, and we're trying to drop it in.
Yeah.
And there's, we worked on that 2 hours.
Oh, we did.
Oh, really?
And we were
Yeah, I've
over
done
the. Remember, we were over the top of it, and God, it was crazy.
It would not go in. We could not get it
And
lined
then-
up and get the bottom dropped, and just to get the angle to go in. And we gave up after 2.5 hours. And
We were
I went
wrestling
against
with-
the cherry picker and lit a cigarette, and
Yeah.
the motor,
That's
The
right.
motor
That's
slipped
how it
right
always
in.
happens.
transmission
That's how it
and
always
lock.
happens.
It slipped right in.
Yeah, I know it. It happens every time. It does.
The cherry picker moved forward
Yeah.
2
Yes,
inches,
yeah.
and then the motor slid right in.
This is
after
not.
2.5 hours.
This is not sticking out that far, but you know what we forgot about too was that these hoses are, going to be sticking out. It's we had to
No,
cut
we
it.
didn't forget that. I knew about it.
Yeah, there's nothing we could do, but it's
had to be
it
cut.
almost
And
fits. Everybody,
It was just about perfect, and
look at that.
I'm going.
You know what? We should
You
probably
know
just do a
what?
stand this thing off.
Yes, that's.
We'll just do a standoff.
put some leather straps.
Yeah, let's
or
not cut
something.
this. We'll do a standoff and keep that because that's
I'll tell
not
you
bad.
What's hitting is the other side of this latch right here.
Oh, really?
That's what's catching it.
You
right
know
there.
what?
May we lose the latch?
Yeah,
Lose the latch.
that's what's touching it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think it'll come close enough, and some leather straps, and we're there. This is, oh man, you had the width just right. Very clean cut, guys, and this is
Yeah, Shane
in there.
worked all the mathematics out here.
We're actually going to have the controller now on this shelf with the cables hanging down here. We're actually going to have too much cable,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have too much cable.
and which, you know,
We can fix that.
yeah, there's ways to deal with that. But yes, that's going to fit in very nicely, and we'll have our controller here, and still have room for fill bottles, pumps.
There's a lot of room now in here.
converters,
Yeah.
and so forth. So, yeah, I'm finding this VW thing to be an easy car to convert. We got
is.
room up front for that charger. I mean, we just lay it on.
Yeah, there's a lot of room.
Just lay it in there.
Yeah.
And it'll be perfect. And 100 cells,
Yeah.
no problem.
I know none of them are back here. It's great.
It's-
Got them in a couple of
I'm
three
afraid-
battery boxes.
I'm afraid we're gonna be done so fast that, it's gonna seem too simple,
Yeah, probably that'd be a problem, Shane.
And then we won't have anything to do.
Probably have to sit around and drink wine.
That's right. Tell stories. That's right.
And Mendocino Rose.
Yeah, some nice wine. Yeah, some Rhone style wines.
And yeah, we wouldn't want it to break into too easy. No, this is a good vehicle for conversion.
Yeah, very nice.
It didn't really look like it to me at first, and after seeing all that Jeff Southern was going through, but even with this motor, and there's enough structure
Oh,
in
it's-
this
jeez,
thing,
it's-
completely stiff.
Yeah.
I thought we'd have to brace something up. Nothing. This is going to be nothing. We use those elbow summits for our liquid cooling, and go through that converter and down and in and out of that. And we're going to have our connectors for our controller just sticking out here. The cables going dropping down, and this is like easy money
It is.
I'm liking it.
if we can ever get a generalized electric vehicle.
Yeah, that we could actually spin the motor, huh?
So that we can drive the car.
Might be a heck of a buggy if we can ever get it to drive.
Yep.
Boy, yeah, I like it, guys.
Put some nuts and bolts on it and see if you can cinch her up there.
Yep.
Okay.
Kemosabe. And
They're right there by your feet, Jack.
Yep, we'll crank it up so you can get to it easy.
ready.
Okay, nice.
Breno, you got your mic on?
Yeah, my mic on, everybody? All right. Yeah, Jack's not trying to drown me out this week. Oh,
We're coming along.
we got look at this.
Shane
Yeah.
has built this little shelf.
Nice.
And we put in this. It's a little, you know, I can see some vibration here. We'll put some straps.
Yeah, I think
or
he had
something.
an idea to put an L or something. Yeah, that'll take that out. I like that.
Here is our 2 battery cables.
Oh yeah, okay.
This is our 3 phases, and we have actually a little bit much cable.
Yeah, usually we don't have that issue. We have a lot of cable this time.
I can probably shorten that. I don't know that I've got any tabs that size. But you know, I don't know if we'll shorten them or not, maybe. But they'll certainly reach.
Oh, absolutely.
You take this lid
Yeah.
off and we bolt those in. We've got a connector here, and I got about cable about this long.
It's in the box jack.
Let me see. This I don't want to shorten, but it
Oh,
will
looks
be
like we've got
fine.
plenty there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna go right on here, and I think the 90-degree goes on the thing here somewhere. Now, there's the key. And that goes right there. So we've got our connectors literally right here in front of me. And we'll have to curl that around and connect that to the motor.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, we don't want to be playing with that one. And we've got this connector.
My
Yeah.
big connector I got to make
Yeah.
from the pieces. And that will go right there. And that's what, oh, we have our, there's a couple of pins we have to tie together for a interlock, a 12-volt ground, and our high and low CAN bus.
Okay.
And if I want a serial port, I can wire that in too. But
Okay. Does our throttle go in there? And where does that go in?
no, our throttle doesn't go there at all. Everything goes in over the CAN bus
Oh, that's right.
on this.
That's
We'll have a
right. That's
separate
cool.
unit
Yeah.
that all our wiring with our brake transducer, our accelerator,
That's right.
and so
Going
forth
over
goes
CAN,
into.
that's right.
And it'll come in over those 2 CAN pins. So
Nice.
there's really only going to be, 2, 4, 6, 8 wires to that.
Coming into that anyway. Oh, cool.
And
Man,
so
that's cool.
that'll work pretty well. But it's all right here. This is ungainly. It's big. It's a big unit. I like them smaller. I think our shelf will be okay. We'll have to brace that up a little bit.
Yeah,
but
put a little hanger on it.
but we basically got all of it in there and still have room over here for a DC to DC converter and a fill bottle, you know, for
Yeah.
our liquids.
Yep, we've got
And,
we've got plenty
we'll
plenty of
put
room
the-
with no batteries back
Of
here.
course,
That's
the
beautiful.
pump and the heat exchanger go down low.
Go low. Yeah.
And then we'll run up. He left me an access hole in the shelf, and I put 2 AN fittings here, and I can reach up and put those on there, I think.
Oh, to put the cooling lines. Yeah. Okay.
And then so we'll take one of those cooling lines, we'll go right here. This will go back to the fill bottle, and the output of our heat exchanger will go to the other one here. So, and our input to the heat exchanger will come from the fill bottle through the pump. So we'll get it from the fill bottle through the pump to the controller first,
Yeah.
because that we want to keep cool, and we'll get warmer water out of that, but we'll run it through the motor and back, and out of that probably to the heat exchanger, then back to the
Then
bottom.
back. Okay.
And
Cool.
so that's how we'll route the coolant, 50% glycol, 50% water coolant. And so we'll have a liquid-cooled controller and a liquid-cooled motor, 334-volt battery pack. And with those 60s, we can do 400 amps easy.
Right.
And so
Right.
the controller is probably limited to about 118 kilowatts, I believe, is the spec
Okay.
total.
Okay.
But that's a big step up from a 75.
Exactly. That's a lot.
That's
Another-
18 higher than we had in the Mini, which was 3,600 pounds.
Yes. That's
This
right.
was 2,400 when we started. We'll weigh it again, but I bet it's not over 2,650.
That's going to be nice.
And so it'll be 1,000 pounds lighter than the Mini Cooper with 18, 20 kilowatts more power.
More power. Wow.
And liquid cooled.
Yeah.
Well, the Mini
Cooper's liquid. Yeah. Yeah. But that's
so-
great.
Yeah, I think it'll be a hopper. More power than we need in a VW thing. But we got a roll bar and stuff. I mean,
Yeah, we got a
you know,
roll bar.
can,
No, we have helmets.
we got helmets.
We have gloves, helmets,
Yeah, I think
respirators.
I'm not cheating in our little thingathon at the race day, but
That's right. Yeah.
Jeff better bring his A game.
Better bring some big thing, huh?
Yeah, I'm not above putting in a bigger motor.
That's right. Nice. I like it.
Yeah. So, but that fits out actually pretty nicely. That's a pretty good fitment that Shane did on the shelf.
It is. It's very,
And,
very nice. I like
We're
it.
actually hanging the part of the controller over that has these cables, and that's to give us enough room behind so I can get to those heating, cooling.
Oh, so we can get to the
cooling,
fittings. Yeah.
fittings. But I wound up with all my connections here and here right up
That's
at waist level.
yeah. That's nice.
You know, now this is one thing that we've had some other builds in here, the Ford Edge and some others.
Yeah.
Guys, you're building the car, you're going to have to maintain the car. The concept that electric cars are maintenance free was started by a teenage girl in Southern California. I won't name her name, but it's who
Yeah.
knew nothing about working on electric cars.
Right.
They're not maintenance free. They're easier to maintain,
Yeah. Well, less
and they're
moving parts and
cleaner to
easier.
maintain.
Yeah,
But they're not maintenance free. And so part in my mind the whole time is not just how to get it in the car and get the car to roll. It's how do I get that motor in and out of that transmission 9 times. Now don't ask me why I want to do that. Let's don't go there.
right.
But I've done this
That's right,
before.
but
Okay?
we know it happens in the real world.
And this is going to be very maintainable. We can change that motor and never even pull this.
No, which is really nice.
We can
yeah.
pull this, and see, we don't have to change something else first.
Yeah, we don't take 5 things off to get to something,
Right.
or the last
The
bolt.
same with the batteries. They're going to be in places where that's just where we keep the batteries. We don't have to take off 9 other things to get to
To get
them.
to them, exactly. Yeah.
And we don't have to take the batteries loose to get to the things. We had a Ford Edge in here that we never did get to see any of the car.
No, we didn't know what it looked like under the rank of batteries and every other thing.
We couldn't even check the transmission.
No, that's
fluid.
right. That's right. They got rid of the
You
fill
open the
stick.
hood and it was all batteries in a tray, and it was a 2.5-hour job to get rid of that to get to look at anything.
Right. Yeah, that's not a
Yeah.
good build.
That's not the way to build a vehicle. It's one of the things. You're not Detroit. You don't have to show up at the auto show or so forth. This is your car for you, and you are going to be making changes to it. There may be a better controller come along.
Right. Yeah. Or just some
Same
maintenance
motor.
issues. Yeah.
Or, we've got this. We can pull this out and put in a 5138 bigger motor.
Yeah, just roll it right in there.
And so there's we've changed the cars quite a bit, and changed clutches and changed brushes.
That's right.
And done a lot of things. And so when you're building it, I would advise giving a little bit of thought not only to how you're going to put it together, but how you're going to take it back apart.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's an issue.
Don't ask me how I know.
Don't make every cable fit exactly.
Right.
Because then you just can't ever pull them out.
Dwayne Spider had all the wires and everything stuffed in the conduit. It was the most beautiful,
Oh.
neatest piece of work I've ever seen. It made working on the car utterly impossible.
Yeah, everything was really tight. Yeah.
It was all perfectly lengthed and perfectly stuffed to where you couldn't put another 24 gauge wire in that conduit to save your life. And that was the only way out of the front engine front compartment where
Right.
the gas tank had been. So my point is, in making perfect use of all the space and doing perfect craftsmanship in connecting all the wires, you can paint yourself in a corner where you can put it together and it'll run fine. You can't ever take it apart again
That's right.
without scrapping the car.
Yeah, that's right. If you ever have to cut a half inch off of a cable or something, you're
And if you have to
Really
take 4
screwed.
things off to change something, I'm underwater already.
yeah.
Because, you know, that changing in and out is wear on the cables and the terminals and the connectors
thing.
and the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're messing as much up as you're fixing when you get in
Absolutely.
that mode.
Yeah.
And not that I've ever done that.
That's right. That's never happened to us before.
So just a word, try to come up with a design where it's maintainable, where you can change parts and change your mind.
Yeah. Have some fun with it. Yeah.
I mean, half the stuff we're trying, it might work and it might not. We're not going to not have a thing if we don't come up with a controller for this inverter. There's
Right.
other
There's other
inverters
ones.
out
Exactly. Yeah.
there. And so, you know, we're going to stay a little bit flexible on this, but I think it's going to make a great rolling test bed.
I
To
believe
get,
so.
and I have to say that it's a pleasure working with good quality OEM.
It is
stuff.
nice, yeah, and you know, and the you know, we said how nice at least the adapter looked last week. Well, it worked really well this week.
Yeah, it did.
It really,
just slid in.
yeah, it really did.
We had the studs threaded in a quarter of an
Yeah, a
inch
little
too
deep.
far.
Yeah, that was a bit. Yeah.
And we couldn't mash down the lock washer. So we backed those off and put a nut on them and tightened them up, and it just
Slipped right in. Yeah, really, it looked great last week, and this week I think it's proven
It
itself.
assembled perfectly.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
very nice.
So I've already paid Seb. We should have 9. In the
9
online
more. That's
store,
right. Yeah.
By the time you see this, should be able to order the adapters. But we're going ahead with the Azure Dynamics DMOC 645 and the Siemens 1PV 5133 or 35
Yeah.
motor.
Right.
We're going to have a 332 volt pack
Yeah.
of
100 cells.
60s,
Yep.
about
160s.
19 kilowatt hours, probably 70, 80 mile car.
Yeah. What we were
I
thinking.
think-
What we figure 3.5
250, 275 a mile.
mile. Okay.
Watt hours per mile. 70 mile range.
That's nice.
And but we've tested those cells, and it's a big deal. This is news to some people. There were some guys in one of the mailing lists going on of everything they knew about the power output of the CA cells. Well, we already tested that.
Yes.
We did a CA40 cell to 12C, 480 amps.
Oh man.
And I think we heard it.
Okay.
Not bad, but
Yeah.
it probably hurt it a little bit.
Yeah. That's a lot of power.
So we're saying 10C.
Yeah.
Well, that's 600 amps out of this pack.
Yeah.
Well, 400 is about all we can do with
Oh,
this motor
get with it. Yeah.
and controller.
Yeah.
It's just not going to do more than that.
No, that's a nice zone to be in. Our voltage should stay up. We should be in really good
Our
shape.
voltage should
Yeah.
stay up. We should see about 6% sag on 332 volts. We're still
that's
going to be
nothing.
at, that's 18, that's 20 volts.
Yeah.
We'll still be at 310. Pedal to the metal.
That's right. Yeah. That's
Put
cool.
down all they'll make.
That's right. Yeah.
And
That's nice.
so that'll be very stiff pack actually.
It will.
And the other aspect of that, you know, we've been a ways coming to a cell that we can use small cells in long strings. We've been a ways coming to have small cells that we can use in long strings and still get good current out of. 10C is good.
10C is
We've
good.
been in the 4 or 5C range, 4 or 5 times the capacity. If you had a 100 amp hour cell, you could do 500
amps, yeah.
Well, now, I mean, we'd use a 180 amp hour cell to do 1,000 amps.
Right.
Well, now you can do that out of a 100 amp cell.
Yeah, it's great.
But that doesn't mean you ought to every day.
No, it does wear your cells.
Right.
Wears
you're
on them.
putting more stress on
Yeah,
the cell.
yeah.
Our big thing is actually cycle life. And so it's better to have a 10C cell that you're using at 6C
Right. Yeah. You preserve your cell.
than to have a 6C cell that you're using at 10C.
At 10C. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes the cell last longer. So that's one of the advantages of this CA series is we can do 50% more current out of that pack with a 60 amp hour cell size than our drivetrain will do.
Right. So we're good. We're not gonna.
And so
we're gonna baby
we're
those
never going
cells.
to do 600
No.
amps. We're going to do 400 in our dreams,
Right.
in our
Right.
dreams.
Right. Yeah.
300 more likely.
Yeah.
And that's, 5C.
5C. Yeah.
And so the stress on the cell will be less than if it was a 5C cell that we were doing it at 5C.
That we were really pushing it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it is an advance in the cell. They'll last longer and they'll do higher currents. That's what we mean by that. And since the voltage won't sag as much, it's more power to actual power to the motor.
Right. Right.
Power to the motor is a function of the voltage
Voltage.
and the current.
Yeah.
And so if we're doing the full, say 400 amps that the motor is rated for, at 310 volts, that's more power than if it sagged at 275.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And
that's gonna be cool.
That's more total power to the motor and hence to the wheels.
Yeah. It's gonna be
So,
great.
so that's what I mean by a stiff battery pack, is it doesn't sag down under load. And these are just a lot stiffer batteries, and this is our first build with the batteries. I've tested them to death on the bench, but we've never actually put them in a car yet.
Never used the 60s. Yeah.
Never used them in anger.
Right. That's right. That's right.
No, we've not done a car with the
No.
180s, the 100s, the 60s, or anything else
No.
on the new CA
The new
series. They
CAs,
just
yeah.
came out in June.
Yeah.
We were finishing up a lot of projects and stuff.
right.
And so this is our first project with the CA series cells, and I expect to embarrass Jeff Southern pretty badly. He's a great guy,
That's
and
right.
he's going to have a lot better looking car than I am. So I need to be way out ahead of him
That's right.
when people are looking at
We
it.
could show them our cutout.
That's right.
On the drag strip.
That's right. He'll
Sorry,
get, he'll
Jeff.
get to
He'll get
examine
bird's
this.
eye view.
A bird's eye view. That's why we got to neaten this up, because that's really going to be the part of it he sees.
Jeff, you're a good sport.
So yeah, I like that layout. It looks maintainable, and it looks neat and workmanlike, and I think we're going to be in good shape. Looks good, Brain.
All right.
Let's continue forward.
You got it. Let's do it.
Okay, Brain. Shane has started our cooling system.
I can see from over here. What do we got?
This is our black nylon hose with fitting.
Yeah. Right, our braided hose. Nice.
He's got it tied to this. We're going to have to do something else there. But this goes up to our fitting on our controller.
Right. Okay. One of our
We had a
inlets.
nice little hole that you could reach up and put them on.
I saw that.
Yeah, it didn't work.
You couldn't get them in? Oh,
You had
no.
to take it all out, cut a bigger hole, put it all back.
Oh, no.
But he put a little spacer block, some straps. So this is
That
all
actually
on.
looks nice.
It's
That's
actually
really
pretty
stiff.
pretty rigid now.
Yeah, that's nice.
And so we're working on the cooling system. This is the kind of braided black nylon hose. That we're
Yeah,
using
that
with
is so
the Summit
nice.
thing.
I like that.
Our standard can. We got some new Durales in, and it's kind of interesting. Right here, he's got that mounted.
Oh,
over
that
the
is
vent hole.
right here over
Turns
this.
out on these VWs, they have a vent grill that apparently can get
I bet this
passing
was,
air
Yep.
down into the engine
I
compartment.
bet this was a fairly hot engine compartment too when they had the missions in 73, 74. Yeah.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess it'll work out okay. This is a puller fan on the Durali.
Okay.
And I just ordered these, and they've got a bazillion of these. And so I tried to restock and got some smaller ones. That's normally a good thing. In this case, it's pretty small. And these could put out quite a bit of heat.
That's, you know, I guess is that the size of the one for a VW oil cooler?
Yeah, but we've been getting a bigger one,
Yeah, we have been getting a little bigger one, yeah.
and we used on the Cadillac and the Porsche and so forth. That's about the size I'd like to have had on the Porsche, and the one on the
Yeah,
Porsche is
right.
about the size I'd like to have here, but then it wouldn't fit. This is a target of opportunity, and we may get busted on it. But because they have these vents
Yeah,
here,
these are big
and
vents,
it just
too.
fits, and it's on the side, out of the way of everything, and doesn't stick out below. It's supposed to be an off-road vehicle.
Right.
We're not taking it off-road, but
Not
still.
on purpose.
Yeah, not on purpose. I'm not, my daughter might. But just because it fit, we put it in here. That's going to be sucking outside air in and venting heat in with our motor and our inverter.
Okay, yeah.
It's not the perfect situation. But if we move enough air and enough fluid, maybe it'll work out. It's one of those things, everything's just fitting really nicely. If it does work, we win.
I like the way it looks.
If it does look good there.
Yeah, I like the
it's
way
out of the way. It's on a vent, a hole that's meant for air coming
For
in.
airflow, yeah.
I'm going with the airflow here, going
Okay.
with the flow.
All right, I like it.
I'm a little uneasy that we might have not quite enough heat exchanger and not quite enough stuff. But you know what we can do if we fail?
Can always do something else.
Well, that's true. we always do have that.
There's a bad option
don't
to
we?
do something else.
We have another vent over here.
Oh, that's true. That's right. We can always do
What if
another.
we put two?
We could always put another one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's my fallback position.
Okay.
Is that we take something we messed up and we double down on it
That's right.
and do two of them.
That's right. Make
Now,
it
I've
like we
got two of
planned
them
it,
blowing hot air in here in my
Yeah,
engine
that's right.
compartment.
but we planned it that way.
But we did it on purpose.
Right.
And if it causes enough heat, we'll build vents into the and tubes and run them all the way to the
Snorkels,
front and use them as heaters.
That's right. There you go.
I guess I think one isn't going to do it, but two probably would. It would just be enough area to do
To
it.
cool it,
These are a
yeah.
little smaller. That's our opportunity. They fit in a place. We can't get the bigger one in that same spot.
No, I
Guaranteed.
can see from over here on the other side. No, we couldn't do it.
So maybe
If we need to,
two little ones
we'd do it.
would do it.
Okay.
And so that's the plan. But I can't walk away from a design that has these openings right here, vented down here to cool the engine compartment.
Right. Yeah. That's too good.
It's too good to be believed.
Yeah. No, it's too good.
What would work better, of course, is mounting it underneath in the airflow. But I got to go for this.
We got to try. That's right.
Shane came up with the idea, and
Yeah, I like it.
yeah, it's almost too fit. You know, it makes these little hip haunches make sense on the vehicle.
Yeah.
Which otherwise I never thought they did.
Right. But that's it. I like it.
And so that's what we're going to do. There'll be our fill bottle. He's fighting to get the pump up above everything else. I don't know how to break it to him. It has to be the lowest thing, but we'll work it out.
Okay. that looks good. Yeah, get the
pump
Yep.
needs to be down
it's
some.
where gravity will prime
You
it.
want the pump at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, so that the gravity will keep it primed.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And but at least he'll be below the fill bottle,
Yeah.
and that may
That's a big deal.
That may be okay.
Yeah. Nice.
We might get it to prime that way.
Yeah.
But that's what we're got planned with the cooling system. A little unusual, but taking advantage of some of the things that are in the car. Let me show you our battery boxes.
All right. Let's look at them.
Okay, this is our new battery box designed for 44 of the CA60 cells.
That's a nice place for it. I really like that.
It's kind of up against our roll bar
Yeah.
and clearing our seat backs.
Nice.
Now, if you pull the seats down, you can see this a little better. It's all done in what do you call it? Rocket, the truck bed liner.
Yeah, I'm getting to love that stuff.
And so we got our black and yellow thing still going. He's going to shoot me some bolts down the bottom. We'll put an aluminum inner edge on this to hold a top. And this will actually become something. You see our top here clears, but you'll be able to set things on top of the box. And
Coffee cups.
yeah, coffee cups, jackets, that
all
sort of
kinds of stuff.
You lose your little cargo area you had back here. That between the top and the roll bar, that was kind of forfeited space anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't that significant a space now.
And so do like me, go to the grocery store, you put the stuff in the back seat. But you could store things on top of the battery box. And we'll probably have, I haven't worked out how the batteries will be in here. We'll have a couple of gland nuts. The connections will be inside the box.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping to put the fuse in that box.
Oh, that'd be nice.
We have the fuse in the box. We have the switch up
Switch
in
up
the
front,
glove
yeah.
box. But I'm hoping to put the fuse in here, and that'll be a handy place to get to it if we need to change it or something. And we'll have cables coming out, gland nuts, and then going down through this as well to our controller and to up forward to the front battery box. And so that's what it's going to look like. But again, we've got my nice truck bed liner.
Yeah, I really like that stuff.
And it
That's
sure
really
turns
cool.
an aluminum box into a work of art.
It does.
And we can put the seats up and they fit right on it. And so we've got everything the way it was.
That is cool.
Battery box Delucto. 44 cells, 56 in the front. I think we're going to be pretty well balanced. This build's just happening without
It's coming together nice.
me. By the time I get to work, Shane's got most of the next thing worked out. And so,
It's done. Cool.
and I get to tell about it on camera.
There we go.
That's the kind of work I do.
I'm loving
Stay
it.
with us. This is going to be a cool vehicle. This car is building itself in front of me.
Yeah, that project's coming along pretty nicely. I
We're
did,
not straining. We're not struggling.
and I did apologize for hacking the rear end out of that thing, but you know what? It wasn't as bad as I thought. I got over it once the Sawzall took a grip.
It looked surgical to me.
Yeah, it was
I
nice.
think about a week sitting on the donut, and that baby will heal.
It'll be okay. That's right. We can just suture it up.
Yeah, I think about a week sitting on the donut, and it's going to
No
be
one,
all
no
right.
one will know. It'll be good. It'll have reformed. Yeah, I like that project. Man, that's coming together.
We don't even have a controller for it.
Who needs one? It's looking so good.
We're going to have to get out and pedal. No, it's all coming together marvelously. We have our 60 amp cells. We're doing great. Let's see. We covered electric vehicle conversion convention, or did we?
No?
About the racing.
Oh, yeah.
Full
yeah,
day
yeah,
this year.
That's right. We're doing a full play day on, that's Friday. So that would be the 9th, Friday the 9th of August. And-
Dynamometer.
Yeah, and we have actually firmed up everybody. We talked to our dyno guy this week.
He sent me a contract.
Yep, he's going to be out there. We talked to April at the SCCA, and they're coming out
To do the autocross.
to do
again.
the autocross. And we talked to John Metric this week. And from everything that I can ascertain from John, the NEDRA is going to assist us in the in putting on the drag race.
Excellent.
So we will have some adult supervision when it comes to the drag race.
John is the knowledgeable party and president of that right now.
He is, yes.
And apparently they had kind of a wild yippee-i-o-ki group on the board, and he's got that sort of cleaned out somehow.
It seems like somehow he's run that to ground and got the board he
Got a
wants and
group of
deserves.
sentient beings in cahoots with him. This is not going to be sanctioned by NEDRA. This
No.
is a EVTV play day where we play
Right.
with electric cars.
Right.
But they're going to try to help us
Mm-hmm.
operate it. And we're going to try to get more, barriers?
Yeah, we're going to try to get more barriers. We'll have to dredge some up.
Go to an 8th mile, do some safety things.
Yeah.
But were you telling me, little add-on perhaps to EVCON on Sunday, we get up and go down to a winery down at Commerce. It's about a 30-minute drive through the countryside, which makes a lot of sense in October, not so much in August, but it'll
It's still
yeah,
good. Yeah.
It'll be their harvest season. Were you telling me that they have a run and tune, or what do they call it?
Yeah, they've got a test and tune. I'm going to talk to the guys at the track. We have an 8th mile track about 30 miles south of us here at Sykeston.
Sykeston.
Yeah, Dino Dom's Raceway. And I have not met him yet.
No, that's an 8th mile track.
That's an
isn't it?
8th mile track. Yeah.
But it's a real track.
Yeah, all concrete track. It's actually a really nice track. It's actually one of the oldest tracks in the United States, 8th mile tracks.
Huh.
And I'm going to talk to him. I had already taken our original Speedster down there, and they just could not believe, first of all, how consistent it was. In fact, John Metric wanted to get us down there and see if we could get our 0 to 60 or our 60-foot times. He thinks it's one of the quickest street cars in a 60-foot time that he's seen. So we're going to take it down there, and we're going to talk to him about this. John may take his car down there. We may see if we can get a few cars down there on Sunday afternoon from noon to 5 and do some, on a sanctioned track, do some 8th mile runs down at Dino Dom's.
So a little birds of the feather post event
Down at the raceway.
play day down at the
Another one.
raceway
Yeah, yep.
in Sykeston.
Yes.
And yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to see if I can put all that together. I'm going to meet this new owner of the track, and we'll keep you posted.
So you may not want to rush out real quick on Sunday
Right.
from the EVCON if you're involved in the drag racing
Right.
type scene.
We could have a blast.
Again, it's not a whole. Now, Royce Wood is going to come do a session on automatic transmission.
Yes, that's going to be great.
And that's a curious area, given my Cadillac Escalade escapade. I may have to attend that one.
Yes.
And he's going to talk about automatic transmissions generally, and he's had an auto shop for many years, K&R, auto repair, tuning, racing, something. But he's done a lot of racing, too.
Yes, yeah.
And so he called me up with all this bracket stuff, and if you're going to have it this way and that way, and I'd been talking about having like a race car class and a street car class being like with a range of over 60 miles or some
okay,
arbitrary
okay.
thing to separate them, where we don't have the Dale Friedhoffs from competing with Ron Adamowicz.
Right.
But I was just tossing out ideas. We're going to let you and
Yeah, we'll
John Metric work out the ideas. Immediately, Royce had 300 questions, and I had no idea what he was talking about on any one of the introductory remarks for any one of the particular questions. But
Oh,
I've never actually been to a drag race, a real one.
really?
Which is so odd. My house in Denver is about, well, I can look over and see it.
Yeah, Bandimere
From the
Speedway
porch,
is right.
from
is-
Bandimere
yeah,
Speedway,
Speedway
which
is
is
right
one
down
of
the
the
right down the road.
biggest,
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I'm gonna try to stay out of that. But we may have a little guest panel thing on the what do you call it, the dynamometer.
Yeah, that
Have-
sounds like
have
fun.
it where we do some parimutuel betting or something on how many horsepower each car can do.
Well, somebody in the back
before it
holding the
runs.
bets. Yeah.
And so that might be interesting. I'm working on a battery discount for the show, but it's kind of a struggle. Again, it's sort of like this 9% margin. They don't have much
You don't have a lot of room to
play.
work, to maneuver, yeah.
And not near what I thought they did. And they just don't promote. They just don't think like
Like
marketeers
marketers, yeah, I know.
in America. It's just impossible to get them to think that way. Let's do an example. We've been kind of kicking around some bizarre terms about price elasticity and state of the market and so forth. We're going to run an experiment this week. I've still got quite a few of those Seimens motors,
Yeah.
and we have a pretty good steady weekly rate on them.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So in a bizarre fit to see what happens, and I think it's nothing, but there are others who think it's something. We've been selling those for $29.95. We're going to introduce the concept of a weekly sale.
Crazy Jack's EV parts.
Crazy Jacks, come on down, be there Sunday.
Wacky Jackie's EV parts.
$2, Chuck. Come on down, free Coke for the kids.
Balloon animals.
I'll post this Sunday, so I'll try to have it up on the website by then. From Sunday until we shoot next Friday.
All right.
When we go in to shoot, I'm going to take it down.
Okay.
We're going to mark down the Seimens motors to $23.95, a savings of $600. That's a 20% off sale.
Wow.
And we'll see if anybody even cares.
Let's try and see it. Come on, guys.
I think parts, component selection and stuff I always have is a more rigorous process and not really an impulse buy type thing. People say they shop pretty hard for the price. And I run into some clowns that do, but most of the guys really are trying to work out the right design.
Right. Yeah. Based on, but there may be
More
some
than
guys
that.
out there thinking about it. So if
Yeah,
you
well,
are,
we'll see one
Yep,
way or the other.
if
We're
you
going
are,
to mark down
time
the
to act.
Seimens motors from $29.95 to $23.95. And so now I'll hear all week from people who wanted something else to mark down.
right. Why didn't you mark down the?
You don't understand that. This is not
Yeah,
the
why
point.
didn't you mark down the gland nuts to $550?
Right.
I needed 2 of them.
Yes, I needed to. That's not what we're doing here. We're going to see what impact this can have on our numbers, and I would predict damn near not detectable.
None at
effect
all.
instruments, but I'm willing to try it, and we'll see. $600 off on a Seimens motor.
This is your chance to show Jack wrong. Buy some
Between
motors.
now and Friday. And Friday afternoon, when we come in to do this part of the shooting,
It's over.
before we walk in, I'm going to undo it.
Undo it. All right. There you go.
So
It's
there
a challenge.
you go. The weekly, and if it does work, we'll have something to talk about every week.
That's right. Gland nuts.
Gland nuts. Get them while they're hot.
Get 'em, that's right. Well, not too hot.
Hot
They can burn you.
gland nuts.
That's right.
Roasted
Get your hot gland
Get your
nuts.
hot gland nuts here.
We must need to go home.
Let's get out of here, Brian. It's been a long week. You all come back and see us next week
All righty. Bye-bye.
when we're better.